Hey everybody, it's PaRiNormal show like 9, I think, and it's going to be on Stardust Ranch, the whole Skinwalker Jr. thing that I think I put in the title. It's actually not really related to Skinwalker Ranch, but since it's very similar as far as the paranormal field, that's why I put it that way. And of course, I'm froze again.
It just now came up.
Here. All right. So I'm probably not going to be active in chat because my computer is being stupid still. Off.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, it's going to be one of them deals, huh? Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Well. Shit. What to do? Damn it. God damn. So it's something. No?
All
Yes,
right.
no?
I'm not going to click on anything. Every time I click on any of the browsers, I literally clicked on it to mute it, and this shit happened. So I'm not touching fucking anything. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it. So anyway, I have no idea what Yeti said. So if he's talking shit, I got my weapons. So
No. I didn't think I was live. I thought that it was froze on my end too, so I was probably mumbling a bunch of stupid shit.
It's all good. So anyway, this show's going to be a little different. So try to keep an open mind to it. There is a lot of questionable things that I will get to and state my opinion on, and I'm sure Yeti will as well. He's the one that actually told me about the whole Stardust Ranch scenario. I hadn't heard of it. I think it's a relatively recent, like it's become popular or more known about recently, even though it's been going on for quite a while, like as far as the activity and things like that. But I had never heard of it, and I'm pretty up to date usually on the paranormal topics. So I'm not really sure why that is. But as far as chat, I'm not going to mess with chat. Like I said, anytime I click on anything, it fucks up. So I will not be I'll read it as far as I can see, but as far as typing in it, I mean, there's really not much reason to type in it in this kind of show. I was talking to Yeti about it. I didn't want to get too much into it yesterday without talking to him about it first. But for the most part, these paranormal shows are just going to be like him and I, or just very small amounts of people. Because the problem with getting like a whole bunch of people is it gets too congested, and it's just a lot of talking over each other, and then you wait for someone else to talk, and then you forget what you're saying, and it just gets too confusing. At least that's the way I see it. So it's more than likely just going to be him and I, or like if at some point we run out of stuff to say or think other people will add to the conversation, or however you want to put it, then at that point we might add other people. But I just think it goes better this way with just a couple different people talking back and forth about, you know, this topic. And then, you know, Momo, she's got to put her 2 cents in and start scratching on the door, meowing and shit. So I guess technically 3 individuals. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with showing our swords. We had mentioned it, I don't know if it was on air or off air, that we both, for whatever reason, happen to collect swords. So we're going to share our collection on this episode, and you're going to see why as we get into the topic, but it is somewhat related. So I don't know who wants to go first.
It's integral to the story for some reason.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll start off with my little one. I have it's like, I guess technically I don't know if it's like in between like a dagger and a sword, but it's like kind of mid-sized.
Like a wakizashi?
I have no idea what it's called. I got this at it was like not like a flea market, but kind of similar to that. It was like a show that was going on locally. And I think it was this first sword. Yeah, it was the first kind of like sword like this that I've ever had, and I've had it for a long time. This thing would cause some damage, not so much as for slicing, but for stabbing. Not the reason I bought it. I just like swords. I really do. I do plan on getting like a higher end sword at some point. I just haven't had the money. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool looking. Like these things extend and they kind of go up. It kind of reminded me of like a Klingon sword. And if you're not a dork, you don't know what that is. But
is that a wire handle?
Yes.
Wow.
It's a pretty nice one. Like it's pretty solid.
It is nice.
Like when you feel the blade, it doesn't like wiggle around a lot like the other one do.
Right.
But yeah, it's nothing like super fancy, but I like it. And like I said, it could cause some damage if you really wanted to. And it had like a little display, like where you just set it in the thing. But I don't know where it is. Like I said, I've had this for years, and it's survived like at least 6 different moves. So yeah, it might be packed somewhere, but if it is, I don't know where it is. So
I like that one.
Yeah, that's my first one. I like it quite a lot.
Oh yeah, I dig it. This is just I don't know, I guess it's like a machete or the only reason I got this one was for the handle. It's got ebony inlays on the handle. There's a cheap version of this sword running around that's got like pieces of black plastic in there. But this is actually the actual ebony version of it. It's just got kind of a cool shaped blade. I thought the tip of it was kind of wicked.
It looks like it could cause some damage too.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 feet long, handle to tip. It's pretty heavy, but I just for some reason I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the handles.
Yeah.
And you'll see here in a minute, but
the funny thing is I did something similar to mine. It's not quite as nice as yours. Again, it's really old, but it's just kind of funny.
This is just I mean, anybody could buy these. You know, this is made by Buckshot, you know. I mean, it's a commercial thing. It's not an expensive piece or anything, you know.
Yeah.
I just liked it because of the inlays on the handle. So that was one of my first.
All right, and this is I don't know if it was my second one or what. The sheath is really shitty. Like, you can probably see it from here, like it's starting to come off, and it's just like wood, which I think a lot of them are wood anyway, but just like two slabs of like plywood. Like, it's really janky. However, the actual sword itself, again, this would cause some damage.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, see, that's more like a wakizashi size.
And it goes, the thing that I like about this one is it goes all the way through to the handle.
Yeah.
Whereas all my other ones, except for maybe the dagger, they're just kind of glued or set in place at this thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this would fuck somebody up.
Or something creeping around on your back porch, maybe.
Yeah. So I like this one quite a lot. Again, I've had all these. None of these are new. Kind of just looks like a giant steak knife.
I was going to say that. I think over in Japan, I've seen them use, man, just like froze up again. Awesome. But I think I've seen them use swords, I guess you'd call them swords, just like that to cut up fish over in those fish markets in Japan. They look exactly like that thing. And since she's froze, shit, I guess I'll just keep going. Only thing I know to do. This is just a gigantic kukri. And then I put a paracord lanyard on the back. This is made by Frost Cutlery. I just dug this one because of I've always wanted a kukri, and this was a gigantic ass kukri. But that's that. The blade was on the kukri was 440 stainless Cobra. No, it's not carbon. It's that anodized. It's not anodized. It's powder coat, black powder coat. And this, I'm not showing that one yet. This is just a kind of a run-of-the-mill katana that I picked up last year. It's got kind of a neat little cheap painted dragon on the front of it, just like a little decal. The reason I started getting into katanas was because I could do this to the handles of them. I'm real into paracord, and I've gone in and rehafted a lot of these and then wrapped them all in paracord instead of the original seal skin, or not lamprey or whatever skin was on it. There's the Hamon line. And this is the one I'm most proud of. It's not my show. I can have computer issues too. There she is. All right. You owe me two.
I'm on my old laptop, if anyone can tell. Sick of dealing with this shit. I don't even know. I'm not even going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up.
All right.
Set the tone for the rest of the show.
I don't know.
Well, I went ahead and showed my kukri and one of my katanas.
Yeah, I'll watch it back.
Well, no, I was just saying if you wanted to go ahead, since
Oh, okay.
however you want to do it. I've only got one more left, so
All right.
I know it wasn't going to be a sword show.
I'll show one, and then you'll go, and then because I only have 2 left.
Okay.
I'm a big Kill Bill fan. I love Kill Bill. It's one of my favorite movies.
Hell yeah.
Both ones. So I have 2 Kill Bill inspired or whatever swords. That's the last 2 I have. The first one is really rough. I mean, they're both rough, but this one's particularly rough. For some reason, Momo likes that sword. She likes to lay by it. I actually have a picture of her laying by the sword when she was like a kitten. It was weird. But anyway, so this is the bride's sword. And the handle, I had to completely rewrap. Because this little leather-ish material came off. So I had to put like a new material on the back of it and then rewrap the top. The other one has the original, whatever you want to call it, material over the handle. So I'll show you what it's supposed to look like, or close to what it's supposed to look like. But yeah, I had to rewrap it. And it still looks pretty janky, but whatever. The sheath is in horrible condition. It actually comes apart. Like it just did now.
Is that thing made out of metal?
This part is, yeah, it's like a really cheap, thin metal.
It sounded like it.
Yeah, it's dented to shit because, again, it's been through many moves.
That's why they've always been. Oh.
The blade itself isn't bad as far as the condition of it.
Shiny.
Yeah, it still might be able to cause some damage stabbing, but none of these are really for cutting. That's kind of like what I want. I want a sword that's able to cut through shit.
Yeah.
If the zombie apocalypse ever comes, I'll definitely be Michonne. But yeah, so that's that one.
They have a Michonne sword out too. I thought about getting it, but then I was like, nah. It was like $250, and that's a little too much. This is my last little project. It's another one of those, just anybody could buy this sword. It's like a I think this is a $60 sword, $50 or $60, whatever. This is like a zombie inspired, whatever. I think it's got blood on like green blood on around the Hamon line. I mean, that's just but I did the same with the handle on this one. I took the seal skin off and wrapped the regular haft with sports tape, which is what I usually use, sports tape, and then I did my paracord, my Turk's head, all the way down.
Nice.
And I started painting the little symbol, but I ran out of nail polish. But
so I'll pitch your wife that you used her nail polish up.
That was actually my daughter's. And she volunteered it, but it was the issue that we couldn't find that same exact color because it was bought during Halloween, and we couldn't find anything to color the other side. So I guess I got to wait till Halloween next year to finish it.
As far as ninjas and samurai, I think they both are. If not, they're definitely, both Asian. I think the difference between ninjas and samurai is ninjas were assassins, and then were warriors. Maybe.
Well, yeah, it's a different style. One's Chinese and one's Japanese. Samurai are from Japan, and they were generally farmers, basically. And ninjas are they're masters of the ninjutsu art. But, you know, it's not that show. I was a big kung fu nerd back in the 70s, so. Actually, they both might be Japanese. I don't know. I know samurai is Japanese.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't want to get into that debate though. As far as sending web or putting links in the chat, you can't do it. It's basically for spam purposes, so people aren't spamming, you know, shit. That's why the only people that can put links are me and anybody with a wrench. So Fresh would be able to. So that's why you can't do it. Eventually, I need to make Yeti whatever, a mod or whatever they called.
You mean I get a wrench?
Huh?
You mean I get a wrench?
Yeah, you get a wrench.
I'm one of the cool kids.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fresh.
Good,
I still am.
You're good, Matt. I just want you to know why you can't do it. If you try to break up the address, like by spaces and stuff, and just leave the .com off and the @ symbol off, you might be able to do it, but you kind of have to trick it. So, but yeah, you can't just hyperlinks over there. Anyway, so my last one is, again, Kill Bill. I actually debated not keeping this because my ex gave it to me. But this is Bill's sword. And since I like Kill Bill so much, it's the only thing I kept from him. Everything else he gave me, I got rid of. But I couldn't part with this. I'm like, this, I can't do it. So, plus it's like a set, you know, the wife or the
wedding.
Yeah. The bride.
Yeah.
The bride sword and this sword go together. So I didn't want to break them up. So, like, whatever. So anyway, like, I still even have the little thing tied up the way it originally came. And then this is what it's supposed to look like. Except the other one was a different material. It was like more of like a leather material, whereas this is like a polyester type of material. But it had like the same braided effect or whatever.
Yeah.
The sheath on this is a little bit better intact, but again, it's just like the other one was older and stuff like that. Plus, I'm honestly just pretty rough with my shit. I'm not gonna lie. But this sword is definitely in a lot better condition. But it's very similar to the bride sword. Just the markings are a little bit different, and the handle's a little different. Like it's got this thing on it.
Yeah.
I think my other one did originally have something like this, but like that, it just came up. And it was black. But
Pommel.
From far away, it looks nice.
I think it looks nice.
Eventually,
you can see the Hamon line real good on that one.
Yeah. But
looks good.
Eventually, my plan was when I had my own place to have like an Asian themed room, at least one room, probably the living room, and like have these like hanging on the wall, kind of like similar. Not these particular ones because these are beat to shit. But sort of similar to this, but of nicer quality.
Yeah.
And just have them hanging like similar to like when she goes to get the sword from Hattori Hanzo. How it's like all lined up. I won't have as many as he did, but just like a couple on the wall. I thought it would be cool. Plus, I have a lot of other Asian decorations, so yeah.
It would just go good.
Yeah, I love the Asian culture, especially Japanese. I don't know why. So
it's a fascinating culture. I'm kind of with you there. I totally get it.
But like mine, it was all the way back in kindergarten. Like it was a long time ago. So I don't know. But like my brother, I don't know that he's like as interested in it as I am, but he has an interest in it as well, which is kind of odd. Because as far as I know, we don't have any Asian lineage, but whatever.
You're just naturally drawn to it.
Yeah, pretty much. Did you have one more?
No, that was the last one I brought out. I've got a lot more, but that's the only ones I brought.
Yeah. One show, if you guys are interested, he might, show his other stuff if he wants to. But if we went into all of that, it's just going to be, it's already been 20 minutes.
Yeah, but 10 of that was getting reconnected. I'm sorry. I'm not going to pick on you.
Whatever. Look, I tried to do what I could. I spent over $200 getting those parts for my computer.
I know. I told you I wasn't going to pick on you. I know it's frustrating. Well, you know what I went through. I mean, till recently, I couldn't have more than 2 or 3 people in a hangout, and I would get booted.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to.
I know.
Getting on to the topic. So the topic is, again, Stardust Ranch, which I don't know if any of you are similar or acclimated to what Skinwalker Ranch is, but essentially a lot of stuff, crazy stuff has happened at this particular ranch. And the guy that lives there is John Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the information, because I've watched numerous YouTube videos and even read a little, which is really hard for me. And it's all pretty much coming from his accounts, and there's been a couple of witnesses. His wife has experienced some things, but because of certain situations, she doesn't remember a lot of it, but I'll get into that later. So it's basically coming mostly from his point of view, but to kind of give a synopsis of things that have happened there. He's had some horse mutilations, because basically what he does is a horse rescue type thing. I think he might rescue other animals, but he rescues and rehabilitates horses, and a couple of his horses have been brutally mutilated during times of this activity, and I'll get more into that a little later. And then he also sees a lot of orbs similar to the Phoenix Lights. His wife has supposedly been abducted. He's seen it actually happen, and at one point prevented it from happening, actually. He doesn't recall being taken. I don't know if he doesn't think he has been, but again, there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
He's seen a weird, and this is one thing that is different, and I don't know that I've ever heard anybody speak of this particular creature. He says that he's seen this Brillo man, the Brillo SOS pads,
Mm-hmm.
A man, well, a being in the shape of a man, but made out of this Brillo looking material. It's kind of, I guess, fuzzy or wiry looking.
Yeah.
And he's seen that on the property.
He shot it too.
Yeah, he shoots a lot of things. He also claims to have been in contact directly with ET from different, because mainly his interactions have been with gray aliens, but he also claims to have had direct contact and communication with beings that claim to be aliens but appear to look like humans. So we'll get into that. That's a big question for me. So yeah, a lot of shit's going on. It's still going on because a couple of the things that I watched, which I'll put the links to most of them below after we're off air or whatever. A lot of it's happened recently. The one interview was from a couple weeks ago, so it's still going on. Maybe not as intensely as it has in the past, but it's still going on. I'm just looking at all my shit. I will say, if you do plan on watching or listening to any of the videos, I would start with the Fade to Black one, because the reason I like that one in particular is because it gives a background of him, whereas the other ones, it just jumps right into what's going on with him. And honestly, like I said, I question a lot of things, and you'll just have to make up your own decision about it. But the thing, like I said, I like the Fade to Black one because it gives his background, like him growing up. It makes him more of a person, and like it gives you like some kind of idea about his character, whereas the other ones are just like this crazy guy that lives on a ranch and kills grays with samurai swords.
Yeah. Well, and also I think the way Jimmy Church's style of interviewing is, it's not quite as abrupt and harsh. It's a lot easier for a listener, especially somebody that's unfamiliar with the story, to accept, or not necessarily accept, but to hear and understand what's going on. He's just, I think Jimmy Church is a really good interviewer. And I would agree. I think the Fade to Black would be the best one to start out with, and then go from there. Because the Carrie Cassidy, anything with Project Camelot, you need to take with a grain of salt. And and she's real coarse in the way she interviews people. But,
yeah,
and that's just my opinion. But you know,
no, I agree. Like you could tell, like,
sorry,
the way that she responds. Sometimes she's just like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like you could tell by the tone of her voice, she's just like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah, she's like, well, that's bullshit, but we'll go on and say, okay. Yeah, I don't really care for her.
I don't either.
Her style, I guess you could say. You know, she pretends to be real cool with it, and then he'll say something off the wall, and she's like, well, that's bullshit, and then go right back to, you know, I just don't think it's a very good way of interviewing your subject, you know. Whether you believe them or not, you know, that's beside the point. You know,
she comes off as a bitch.
Yeah, very, very much so.
And I'm sure, you know, she's a wonderful person, whatever. I try not to judge people, but just her tone sometimes is just really like,
yeah.
It's to me, a good thing about an interviewer is being impartial, not sounding like, oh my God, everything's like the greatest thing I've ever heard. But then also not being like, okay, well, this is bullshit. Because you don't want to give your listeners like a bias. Because you hear the way she talks, and just like by subliminal messaging, you're like, okay. Which, I mean, I agreed with some of her responses. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like, there's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure happened, but, you know. I try not to discredit people's, you know, experiences, because a lot of mine are crazy too.
Right.
And I know that these things happen, and sometimes I do think that they're presented in such a way that is so out of the realm of regular that it's intentionally done to make that person look crazy and sound crazy.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah. So again, just try to be open-minded about it. There's a lot of interesting elements to the story, which is why I did it. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting.
It caught me off guard. Well, I'd never heard of it, like, you know, just like you.
Yeah.
But he bought this place back in, I believe it was 93.
Yeah.
And from day one, just like with the Gorman Ranch or Skinwalker Ranch, from day one, weird shit started happening, you know. It's kind of like, that should be a clue right there, you know.
Well, it's a typical man mentality that they try to write everything off.
Yeah.
Everything has a logical explanation. Which is a good way to be to an extent, but at some point you're like, okay, something fucked up is going on here.
Yeah.
So it was actually a 96, because 93 is when some strange things happened. I don't know if it's any way related, but his mother, his father, his aunt, his uncle, and his grandparents all died within 6 or 7 months of each other. Out of nowhere, it seemed. I don't think any of them were having extreme medical issues, maybe some of them, but to have that many amounts of a death in your family, like an immediate family, is strange. He wasn't, I think, talking to any of them at that point, because he had a falling out with his parents and his family, which is explained in the Fade to Black interview. Like I said, it's kind of a good thing to know about just for information. But he did have a falling out with his family, so for a while he had no contact with them until, you know, the deaths started occurring or the sicknesses started happening, whatever. I think his parents were sick for a little bit before they died, because I think that's how he had found out, like, hey, you better come and, be your parents. I think his wife, which I don't know if they were married at the time, but his now wife is the one that encouraged him to, at least kind of say your goodbyes or whatever.
Right.
So after that happened, obviously he was in a lot of, pain and distraught. I mean, even if you're not close with your parents, when they die, it affects you. And to have that many deaths in your immediate family, it would affect anybody.
Yeah.
So he had always wanted to do like a rehabilitation or whatever you want to call it for horses. He's always wanted to live on a ranch. So he looked for years for something he can afford, and then something that would be big enough to accommodate what he wanted to do. And by 96, he found this place. He immediately fell in love with it. His wife immediately did not like it. But she was a city person. She had no want to be in the country at all. So he kind of put it to that. Like, she just didn't want to be there because, she wanted to be in the city. But she had like strange vibes from the beginning. The first thing that happened, and I'm kind of foggy because of just the way he expressed it, but I guess the previous owners were still living there or something when he went to move in.
Yeah.
And he kind of had to tell them to, we're supposed to be living here. You need to leave.
Well, I don't think they were living there, but their belongings were still in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had to contact a realtor, and he was told that they were told just to leave the property for a couple hours and that they'd get it cleared up, and that didn't happen. So when they got back. They went to go watch. I think they went and watched like a double feature and went out to eat. They were gone for several hours. But when they got back, there wasn't anything in the house. But they went around back, and everything that was in the house was now inside the swimming pool.
Yeah.
The entire, dwelling, everything that was in the dwelling was in the swimming pool. So that, of course, they were sitting there scratching their head at that.
Full of water, not an empty, full of water.
Yeah. And so he said, I think he said it took him like a full week to get everything dragged out and then pulled up to I think he pulled it up just to the front of the road, and various people came and picked it up.
Yeah. So that automatically is fucked up. Like the literally first day that you come into the house to, start moving in or whatever, and this happens. Yeah. And I don't know within how many days, but I think it was days within that, experience, they ran into something else that was strange.
Yeah, that was the next Monday. His wife went to work, her first day back to work, and so she was gone, and John was out there, kind of perusing his new ranch, and he noticed some, I guess basically the only way to describe it is a homeless-looking guy, kind of a disheveled, unkempt kind of guy, was walking up his driveway, but he had a big-ass machete that he was carrying. So the John Edmonds guy, he grabbed his 357 and stuck it in the back of his pants, and went to go ask this dude, "What's up? What are you doing on my property?" And kind of in a nutshell, this weirdo said, "Well, I live here." And the owner's like, "No, I just bought this property, and you don't live here no more." The dude said, "Yeah, I live in apparently it's like one of the barns around back." And he's like, "Well, you need to get your stuff and leave because you don't live here anymore." And the dude, the weirdo, said, "Well, there's nothing that he really needed anyways," and basically just turned to leave. And as he was leaving and swinging the machete above his head, apparently, he said, "One of these days you'll regret kicking me off or having me leave or whatever, saying that you'll regret making me leave." And, was like 21 years later now, he's really been regretting ever kicking that guy off, because the dude, the weirdo, says that he's the guy that keeps the monsters away.
Yeah.
that's what he told the new owner of this place.
And John just kind of laughed it off, like, "Oh, this is nuts." But yeah, it's still not really something you want to hear.
Hell, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, so it's just a strange situation, and that's mean, Sean. I don't know what the next encounter was, like where it went from there.
Well, I think it just kind of started. That's kind of just started. The way the story rolls on was, well, the next thing was the phone. He tried to get his phones turned on, and he couldn't get the phone company to come out there because apparently all their technicians were chicken shit and heard stories their whole lives, about all the, the biker gangs that lived there, the militia that lived there, off-track betting, which to me, that doesn't sound scary. I mean, it's a casino,
Yeah.
But basically, they couldn't get the phone company to come out and put a phone line in, until finally they got him out there, and the dude at the phone line told him about all that, that it just had a really shady past, and the original owners, or one of the original owners' son had committed suicide on graduation night or prom night or some shit like that, like in the living room or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was in the living room.
Yeah, but I think the way the story goes is that it just pretty much started snowballing, and you start seeing lights in the back, the back pasture, seeing they called them orbs.
Yeah.
And things of that nature until the time the dog came up missing. I think that was his first doozy of an encounter. Can you excuse me for just a second? I got to take care of something real quick. I'm sorry. Right. If you want to do that little section, I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
So, the location is in Arizona. And so Wishful Wishel, however you pronounce that, is correct. It's in Arizona. It's, in the desert kind of area. It's on a pretty big plot of land. I don't remember exactly how large, but it's a good, they have horses there and stuff like that. So it's got to be pretty big. And you can actually look it up online if you want to check out the actual, I think the property's address is online, just because John Edmonds has the Hopeful Hooves organization. That's the rehabilitation horse thingy. So it has its own website where you can donate if you wanted to, just to help them take care of the horses and stuff like that. Because I guess getting into a background just briefly about what the John and his wife do, they both have backgrounds in mental health, which is pretty interesting. His wife still currently works in the mental health field. She's not a counselor or anything, but she is involved in some way. She didn't want to disclose exactly what her position was because she didn't want basically to be tied with this phenomena. She didn't want it affecting her job. So she didn't want to disclose exactly what she did, but she was involved. She's involved in mental health. She has a background in the FBI. She used to be a clerk for the FBI. John was a counselor of some sort.
Yeah.
Mental health counselor.
Mental health, ironically.
Right. So that's kind of something that's important to know.
Yeah.
So you're not dealing with Bob and Jimmy Jacks or whatever. So not that there's anything wrong with Bob, because Grandpa Bob's Bob and he's a hillbilly, so no issue with hillbillies or anything of the sort. So anyway, getting back to what he was saying, I guess the next thing probably would have been when the dog, it wasn't really missing, but it ran off. And since they are in the desert and there's a lot of, predators out there, he went out and, it's the desert, so he didn't want it to like dehydrate or whatever. Yeah. So John went out looking for him and was gone for a while and never did find the dog. The dog just came back home. Yeah. But while he was out, what was it that he saw? Was it a craft?
Yeah, this was his first like real experience, I guess. He saw, this was the triangle. he saw a black triangle, like hovering. I think he said it was 60 feet from him. It I guess it just kind of lifted up as he was sitting or looking for the dog. And he didn't have anything on him. He contemplated going and getting his camera because they had been taking pictures of all this stuff that's out in the field, all these weird lights and stuff. And he was going to go get his video camera. I'm sorry, not just his camera. He had a regular camera on him. Anyways, it just flashes, and he's still standing there. Apparently, it's like 2 hours later, and he's in the same place, I believe, and nothing's, the craft is gone mysteriously, and he's just standing there, and lo and behold, it's 2 hours later. So he's sitting there scratching his butt, going, what the hell, And he gets home, and the dog is sitting there on the porch waiting for him. That he was originally going there after. And there wasn't anything on his camera. There was nothing there. So it was, I guess, he still says that he doesn't think he was ever abducted. Which to me, I mean, just on the
right,
just on the story right there, that alone is like red flag city,
Right. Which is what I was thinking, and I was going to bring up as well.
Yeah. So
to elaborate on that, because I've mentioned it a couple times, he claims that at least he believes that he is incapable of being abducted because he had a head injury when he was younger that kind of messed up the mechanics of his brain. So his whole brain is different than most people's, and just because of experiences that have happened after that.
Yeah.
I guess he's seen his wife being paralyzed and trying to be taken. So
right.
He was not affected by whatever technology they use. So he thinks that he's incapable of being abducted. However, like he just said, and I didn't even put that 2 and 2 together until he was talking about it, the fact that, missing time is a big red flag of abductions. It's one of the first things that, link the two together. And the fact that somehow he left, has no memory of leaving. Actually, he was going to, but he has no memory of leaving. Was back with his video camera in the same spot. 2 hours later, his car was moved slightly, so it wasn't in the same exact position as it was before.
Yeah.
So
right, I forgot about that.
Left, but he has no recollection of it, and there's all this time missing. So something happened there. And the fact that he knows his wife has been abducted, it's maybe it's more difficult to abduct him, but to say it's impossible, I think is a stretch.
Yeah, I think it's just wishful thinking, maybe on his. That gets to the whole point of the swords. Also, is with her being abducted. Was he? Apparently, I guess it was one night. I guess they had been seeing little critters in their house because of the supposed portal that's in their living room, I think, didn't it, or their fireplace.
Yeah, it's in the living room.
Yeah, but I guess they've been seeing, little grays in their house and on the property. So it tempted him to arm himself a little better. And his whole theory with not shooting these things is because he lives in a solid brick and rock house, and he's afraid of course, ricochets. So he decided he would arm himself with katanas.
He calls them samurai swords.
Well, yeah.
He mentions it several times, but which makes him look like a fucking nut, but
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hell, he admitted that he had a 357. I think I would take my chances at a ricochet. I mean, a 357 just might bury itself in a brick. I mean, call me crazy,
Well, I mean, considering what he found out later, what he claims, I'm not going to claims anymore because all of these are claims.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
Because he's tried injuring these things several different times, mainly because he's sick of being harassed. At that point, his horses were being mutilated, and we'll get into that a little bit later. It's not it's kind of like the standard cattle mutilation where it doesn't look like or it's supposedly impossible that any random person did it.
Right.
But anyway, at this point, that happened. I think at that point, his dogs, he had 3 of them that became ill after attacking one of these things. Within like a couple days of the encounter. So he was just fed up. So he decided he was going to quote unquote fight back. So his thing is that when he would stab it, and like even if it was like a mortal wound, if you didn't take off the head, like decapitate it, the body would just disappear as, you know, right after you would, you know, kill it. And the one time he was like, he stabbed it right in the chest and was literally like inches away from this thing's face. And it just, he calls it blinks out or something like that, but it's like it disappears. But if you decapitate it, the body remains. So his mentality is, and it's something that I was thinking about too, is that possibly, since these things are from a different dimension, which he came across that information, I forget how, I think from one of the ladies he was talking to, Dr. B or whatever her name was. That the head controls their ability to go in and out of these dimensions. So he did claim to have at least one body. I think he had several at one point.
Yeah. Well, and a couple heads.
Right. He stored the one in the freezer because he wanted to have it sent away to be tested, and he did. Yeah. I think it was the University of Michigan that he sent it to.
All the ones I've heard is he won't disclose. Yeah, right. One of them he did disclose. It was Michigan, or it was something like that. But all the rest of them he won't disclose. He gets real guarded about it. Where it's at, he says it's not. How did he puts it? It's in the United States, or the continental United States, but it's not on American soil. That's how he put it. So
that's where the body is. That's not where the testing happened.
Oh well. Either way, it sounded shady as shit to me. Yeah, I don't know if that's an Indian reservation or what, but
he hid the body. But as far as the testing goes, I'm pretty sure most were done at the University of Michigan. The one website that I got a lot of the information from about the testing, it was the University of Michigan.
I didn't know about that. Well, wouldn't you like to have been the grad student that was testing some alien tissue?
Well, it wasn't a grad student, I don't think.
Well,
as far as the tissue results, the blood was pure hemoglobin, which is similar to what's found at the cattle mutilation sites. There was segment rods in the blood and also chloroform. So it had properties of plant and animal, but nothing that we know of that we have ever come across as humans. The skin looked like segmented grass, but it wasn't grass. The protein could not be identified as anything they had ever seen before, animal, plant, or human. The one lab, this is the kind of just goes on. It says the one lab said the results matched fluid samples from cattle mutilations over the span of 30 years. 100% compatibility that they were from the same being. So, it ties in these beings to the cattle mutilations, basically, is what it was saying. And
sounds like it.
Prior to this, we had no tangible proof of the correlation between cattle mutilations and these beings.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, to say the least.
It is interesting.
True,
It also brings up another. I know this is a sidebar, but there's a theory that these grays are plant-like, that they're kind of like a half creature and half plant. So that chloroform is kind of an interesting discovery. But I mean, hey, I don't know. That's just something that I've heard in the past. So I heard that they grow them like a plant. That's why they don't have belly buttons.
Well, yeah, a lot of the things are, and I don't want to get too much into that because the whole gray thing, maybe I'll do like a whole thing about grays at one point, is that they are created and not bred. So they're like clones, which is why a lot of people say that they're here to begin with, is because their DNA is pretty much like non-existent because they've been cloned to death.
Right.
So they need other DNA to pretty much, keep them reproducing or whatever. That's one theory, but
Yeah, you're right. That's a whole nother topic. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Well, it's fine. It's pertinent. I just don't want to go into detail about it because
Yeah.
it'll just be forever.
Yeah.
What else?
You want to get into when he broke up her attempted abduction?
Yeah, we can talk about that because he claims, you know.
Wouldn't that be around the next?
Probably. Close enough.
Well, apparently he, all this shit's going on, and then one night, apparently an abduction had started or was about to take place. You know, the whole thing with his wife, she froze or whatever, and I believe it was he chased him out or he caught him on his back porch or whatever. He had interrupted the abduction. And that's how he came to find out that if you sever the head, they will remain. Apparently he got into a little altercation with one of these grays and lopped his head off. And that's how he discovered that, you know, if you separate the body or the head from the body, that you can apparently send it off to Michigan or wherever and have it tested. And all the while, he's not been abducted, and there hasn't been a fleet of attacking grays coming to, you know, seek revenge for lopping their buddies' heads off. So,
Yeah.
and apparently he's killed more than one, the way I understand it.
18 with the samurai sword.
Oh, it's 18?
18.
Holy shit.
Yes. He was actually shooting at the craft. I don't know if that is the same occurrence as the one where he took the head, but I know towards the end what actually made them stop is he was going off his, firing off his rounds at, towards the craft. Because at that point he figured his mentality was, she'd rather be shot than taken by these things.
Yeah.
So that's what interrupted it. And I guess maybe they were taken back that he wasn't affected by their, methods or whatever you want to call it. And then, they kind of just left at that point. And another occurrence he saw, and I don't know how time-wise, like how far apart they were. He saw a gray standing over his wife while she was sleeping and pinching the tube to her CPAP machine to the point where she couldn't breathe. She ended up like waking up after it because, she couldn't breathe. But for some reason, she couldn't see the being. All she knew is that she couldn't breathe anymore. And John could. So, because she's never seen one as far as like any of the accounts that I've seen. Because in the one interview with I think it was the Camelot lady, she was not on camera, but because she didn't want her face, like, whatever. But she was off camera talking, and she's never seen these things face to face that she can recall. The Camelot lady thinks that, you said her name was Cassidy or something?
Carrie Cassidy, yes.
Carrie. So Carrie claims that she thinks that the wife has been an abductee all her life just because of certain things that have happened. And I think she thinks that she's sensitive to some extent.
Yeah.
But she doesn't recall it, and at this point, she doesn't want to do a hypnotic regression thing, because honestly, that can cause more issues than anything else. So I agree with her not doing it. There's reasons your mind shuts things off to where you can't remember. It's for self-preservation.
Exactly.
Your mind thinks that it can't handle the information, and it buries it. So she's still working in the mental health area. So it would cause probably more harm than good at this point. So she's not really interested in doing anything like that. So that's that.
I think, if it were, I know that I shouldn't, but if it were me, I would want to know, though. I do agree that if you go searching, sometimes you'll find things you never wanted to know. But if something's going on with me without my knowledge, I want to know about it. If there's people coming in and diddling me in my sleep, I want to know about it.
Night diddling. See, I'm the opposite. I don't want to know.
Well, I do, because I want to put an end to it.
Well, you got your swords, I guess.
Yeah, I just sleep with all my swords unsheathed.
Yeah. I don't want to know. I haven't been affected that, so badly to where it would be digging at me to know. I don't want to know. I had that one possible sighting or whatever you want to call it with the being in my porch. That's enough for me. And I'm not digging at it.
Yeah.
Out
Yeah.
enough. I'm
Yeah.
good. Um,
Don't need to throw any more wood on the fire.
no. They can do whatever they want to me. I don't want to remember. As long as it's not affecting me. Because, like, in these circumstances, if my animals were being fucked with, like theirs were, and things like that, I'd probably be more apt to want to know and fight back. But, it's not affecting me or anything, so I don't want to know. Fuck that.
If they were just coming to look, it'd be different. But when you start doing some nighttime diddling, that's crossing the line. Don't be diddling while I'm asleep.
He draws the line of diddles.
That's right.
Someone asked a question.
Alien under the covers.
Someone asked a question about whether or not other people have seen any of these creatures besides, John. According to him, yes. There's been several different groups of people, one of which was an investigator group or an investigative group. They did capture something on film. If it is legit, it is scary as shit.
Yeah.
It's clearly a gray alien, and from their accounts, they didn't see anything while they were snapping pictures, like physically, but they could see it by the pictures that they collected. And there was nothing before or after. It kind of was just like there, because their mentality, and I agree to this to some extent, is that these beings have the ability to be in and out of our dimension, and that is why they're so hard to capture, why they just seem to disappear and reappear out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So they just kind of happen, I guess, catch this thing while it was in and out. And it's fucked up. I'll put the link below. That is definitely one thing that you will want to see, or maybe you don't. It's creepy as shit.
Did you see both pictures? Or just the one?
I saw the one that was like a side profile, and then the one where it was like head on.
Face on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the, yeah. Yeah, that'll make your britches start smelling weird. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, so that happened. I don't remember if they collected other data besides that. And then another group of people were there. There was 2 women that were there. I don't remember why. One woman had a little bit of weird stuff happen, but it wasn't too bad. And the other woman was so scared that she tore out of her room. I think there was like several beings inside her room at night when she was trying to sleep. And she was so scared she ran out, and there was like a big storm happening, but she didn't give a shit about the storm. She's like, fuck this. And she ended up locking herself out because like she was like in a spare house, the guest house or something.
Guest house.
So she ended up locking herself out. She was so terrified about what happened. She ended up having to wake up, John at the main house pounding on the door, but she was scared shitless. And I don't think they ever heard from either one of those people again.
Yeah, they tore the hell out of there and shagged ass.
Well, I forget the amount of grays that supposedly she saw, but there was many of them. Mm-hmm. I want to say 8, but I don't know, but there was a lot. Yeah. Whereas the other lady, I think she only saw 1, and it was just watching her. So it was more of like an uncomfortable feeling than being, 8 of them, whatever, in your room. So, but yeah, they both, after that night, they never kept in communication after that, which I don't blame them. Yeah. I'd want nothing to do with that shit.
Yeah, I think I would lose the number to that place.
Yeah. They also got, and this is where it kind of gets more weird outside of the whole samurai chopping alien head thing. The contact with Dr. B was, I don't know. She sounds like a quack to me.
Yeah.
Just from what he accounted of. She claims to be like in contact with people that claim to be aliens. Physically, they don't look really anything unlike humans, but they claim to be from elsewhere. She was responsible for gathering a meeting of these ET because after all this was happening, she claimed that, beneficial ET could possibly help the situation and kind of, I don't know, fight against these ET or the Greys or whatever. So they had a meeting.
Like a galactic turntable kind of deal.
Yeah, but mind you, all of these people looked like people.
And they all walked in through the door, and none of them were teleported in.
Right. And they all live here. They're not coming from, they just live here. One claimed to be reptilian, another claimed to be Syrian, another claimed to be Palladian, and then the other ones he doesn't remember if they said that where they were from. He claims that they did prove, well, some of them proved that they were, more than just the average person by invoking storms. Like the one had a lightning strike. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say that like.
Sorry.
Well, there was like, I think 2 different ones, but like one had a lightning strike, which Dr. B claims to absorb the lightning energy. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Well, that was also apparently when a gigantic ship showed itself right then. I believe if I'm not getting my stories mixed up, that's when that huge ass ship showed up. It was a big saucer.
I think that was the second time though.
Oh, was that okay? Well, yeah, because there was 2 of these. Because it starts getting shady, like the further it goes, it starts getting like kind of choppy. Some of the stories are. I found it to be that way.
Some of them, yeah. Which, like I said, is common with the whole phenomena. Right. So take with that what you will. But the first one, it was found out that a lot of them, if not all of the quote unquote ETs, were fake. They were actually interested in some kind of mineral that's found at the site. It's called fulgurite. It's caused from lightning strikes. It's an element that is caused from lightning strikes, and I guess it's valuable for whatever reason.
For jewelry.
Yeah, so there was like a second meeting that was put together, and I think that's when these other ETs, there was like 2 of them, that they held a sword up to the air, and a UFO appeared, a giant craft. Like again, it sounds retarded. So
I think he yelled Thundercats ho also. Or maybe it was Castle Grayskull. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. As far as the proof, the blood and flesh samples or the bodies themselves, but as far as like actual photographic evidence, there's the picture of the aliens. What you want to take with that is up to you.
Yeah.
The thing is if, and I don't want to get too sidetracked, but if you go into investigating the paranormal, like in any amount, like I'm pretty deep into it. If your final, like what you're seeking after is like tangible proof, you're probably not going to find it. We either don't have the technology to collect it, or it just doesn't exist. And that's not to say that
comprehend it.
And it's not to say that it's not real. It's just, again, if we're dealing with different dimensions, how do you pull something out of a different dimension and get proof from it? It's
right.
There is proof out there. It's just whether or not you want to believe in it or not. And that's something only you can decide. I think a lot of it is bullshit, and a lot of it's been proved to be bullshit, but you have to sort through it. It's kind of like thrifting. You're going to get a lot of shitty clothes, but if you dig enough and, get over the spell, you'll probably find something nice.
Did you want to get into the whole MS thing?
You can.
That could be real quick.
Well, I remember that. Yeah, you can do that.
And in 2000, I believe it was 2001 or 2002, he was, they found that he had sudden onset MS. There was another term, and apparently it was like a really aggressive form of MS. And, had all his CAT scans done. His doctor basically said, you're going to have to do a lifestyle change. The life you known before is about to change, and get ready because shit's about to be different for you. And
he took, He said he was gonna die.
Yeah, he said shortly he would die, but in the meantime, basically just change your shit because get ready, here it comes.
And the
And he
doctor
took,
supposedly. Oh, okay. You're going to go into that.
yeah, he took his driver's license away from him because he was apparently unable to drive because his brain's about to start shutting down pretty much. Well, this John guy, he wasn't going to accept that. He's like, no, screw that. He put the word out, and somehow he found some other dude. I don't know who. I never heard of this guy before.
He found it through a person he used to know in the military.
Yeah. So he goes to this guy's office, and the dude does a scan, which I guess he just looks at him and checks him out because I don't know. He said he just sat there, the dude scanned him, and then he gave him what looked like a globe, like a clear globe, and it had like a gold filament or like gold, little pieces of gold flecks in it. And he was sitting there. He told the dude just to hold it and just to relax. And the whole time the dude's giving him like a mind fuck or something. I don't know what he's doing to him. And he he starts diddling his brain. He started freaking out because he felt like instead of looking at the globe, he felt like he was looking out, he was inside the globe looking out. The dude said, it's cool, it's normal, that's what it's supposed to do. And this went on for a couple more minutes, whatever. And then I don't know, he snapped his fingers or clapped his hands, whatever the hell he did, and the thing was over with. And when he looked at the globe or the ball, whatever, all those little gold filaments were gone. It was just a solid clear ball. And the dude told him to come back, like the next week, I think it was, and did another little scan or whatever. And dude said, well, we think we got it, you're probably going to be good to go. So within a month or whatever it was, he made another appointment with the doctor. The dude said, hey, I think you made a mistake, I think I'm fine, I need my driver's license back. And the doctor's like, well, I can't give it to you. The only way to prove it would be another MRI. And they did another MRI, and lo and behold, he was healed. Miraculously, no more MS. So, and he got his driver's license back, and everybody's happy.
Sean said a bottle of Goldschlager. He did say it made him warm. So
yeah.
It had a warming effect as he was holding it.
Maybe this dude's reality is just a little bit skewed, It's everyday occurrences to us, and to us it's a bottle of Goldschlager. To him, it's a gold ball filled with gold filaments.
Well, the interesting thing is gold does have healing properties. So
small amounts, yes.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, I guess, a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
And silver is toxic, ironically. I know, because I had silver poisoning once.
He also does have an MK Ultra background that he does not want to discuss because it would make him sound too crazy.
Yeah. You got to put that in.
He might probably talk about it in a future book because he is due to have one book is already written, about to be released. So there's that as well.
That's kind of what I was I thought would have been an excellent capstone to the whole thing, is because my whole life I've been into this kind of stuff, my whole life. And up until just the other day, I had never heard of this story and this guy. Never. And now that he's got a book out and another one on its way, now it's all over the place. I find that a little shady.
Which, isn't that similar to the way that the Skinwalker Ranch went?
Not really. No. That was pretty well known about for a while. That whole deal was done by Colm Kelleher when him and George, what's his nuts? When they wrote the Trail of the Skinwalker or whatever. No, that had already taken place about all that. That had already been kind of pretty well known. And in the news, in the TV news, that was pretty well known.
I think Christopher Macklin was the guy that did the globe thing. If not, he's a healer of some other sort because he's had a lot of dealing with healers. Basically, they supposedly kind of use 0 point energy that's directed to the person to heal them. Whether you want to believe in that, that's up to you. But that's a name I have written here. Also, the two women that were visiting, the one that I said, the one saw some and the other one ran out, whatever, they were going to donate to the charity. That's why they were there. To the horse foundation or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Happy Hooves or whatever.
Hopeful Hooves.
Hopeful Hooves, yeah.
Happy Hooves.
I like Happy Hooves.
Decided to.
Don't diddle my hooves. The Christopher Macklin, he was that other healer, the one that is still around now, the one that's in like Tennessee or wherever, because the original guy quit practicing. The guy with the globe.
Oh.
He had retired or whatever, but that Christopher Macklin is the one who still does this kind of weird ass alien healing or whatever.
Yeah. He was also healed from MRSA by a healer from Africa. That's another thing to make note of. Also, he has what was it, a macaw?
Yeah, a red macaw.
That is Flintstone's alarm clock, as he puts it, I think. But basically, a lot of times when these beings are about to appear, the parrot, is it a parrot? It'll start.
Oh, sorry.
It'll start squawking bad dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Then he knows it's time to get the sword.
Yeah.
That's a quote.
Yep. Yep. Oh shit! My bird's going off.
So can you snooze it? That is how do you snooze it? Do you give it a cracker? Is that like and I know I'm making fun of some of this because honestly, some of it just sounds stupid, but
yeah,
a lot of it to me is compelling to an extent. So,
well, I think he had a really good start, and I think it kind of went a little haywire. You know, if you guys go and watch this, you'll see where we're coming from. I mean, because I know y'all are probably thinking, this is all bullshit, but really, there is some really compelling stuff, and there is some documented stuff. There's quite a bit of documented stuff, but it does really get off the tracks kind of quick, you know.
And the way he frames things doesn't help, especially in the Camelot one.
Yeah.
That makes him sound a bit more crazy than any other interview that I've seen him do. And I don't know if it's because of the interviewer or just because of the way he said things, but that's why I think you should start with the Fade to Black one and then, work your way from there. That one sounded the most plausible out of the ones that I've watched or listened to. I don't know.
And it's the shortest.
No, it's pretty long. It's like an hour and a half long.
Carrie Cassidy's like 2 hours a piece.
Yeah, that's true.
She went back and did a part 2 to it also. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a lot. I watched a good 24 hours at least of this topic. Mainly,
I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah. The Fresh asked, does this guy allow sleepovers? It is something he's looking to do. He wants to do something similar to where people can come and, experience things. Also, he wants to turn the ranch into a healing center because it does have a lot of these strange properties. It has 2 or 3 vortexes, or vortices, however you put it, according to, depending on who you ask. He says he knows of 2 of them, one that's in the living room, one that's in the back of the property. According to Carrie, she sensed 3. So 2 or 3 still fucked up.
Well, and he's also on a natural aquifer too, apparently.
Yes. But the largest in the U.S. or something like that.
Yeah.
Because people have asked, because I'm sure if you're not thinking it, someone's already said it, why he doesn't move. Essentially, for a ranch that size, it's expensive as hell. So he doesn't want to lose his horses. That was like, he made a promise to the horses and his wife that he wouldn't, part with the horses. So wherever he goes, he wants to take them with him. So to find another property that's, the size to accommodate that is just not feasible. He's, I guess, tried selling it. One person called him, I forget where it was, from, the Air Force or something. I wrote it down somewhere. If I come across it, I'll tell. But he tried selling it, and he got a call within a couple of days with a guy that claims that he was actually underselling it by like 10% or 10 times. Like it was 10 times the amount that he was asking for. And because of it being on the aqua farm or whatever that is, it's like the largest aqua farm in the country. So he'd actually be underselling it by quite a bit.
Because of the mineral rights primarily.
Yeah, so and then what was that guy? Who's the guy that bought the Skinwalker Ranch?
Wouldn't call him Kelleher. He's the one that wrote the book. Hang on. Oh shit.
Well,
why can't I? God damn it! I got his name right there. He's a big shot in Vegas.
Start with a B or something. I thought.
B
as in boy. The last name.
God damn it!
I keep wanting to say.
I know.
It's not Boeing.
No, but he's in aerospace.
Right.
He does a lot of these return vehicle things.
Elvis.
God damn it! If you wouldn't have asked, I would have told you.
Well, anyway, the same guy that bought the Skinwalker Ranch he made an offer to this guy, but it was like way what he would have needed. So that's why he didn't sell to that guy. He also hears booms. They're very loud booms that seem to be coming from the air. He attributed it or compared it to when they were doing some kind of reconstruction where they were blowing off dynamite in the mountains nearby. It was about as loud or louder than those. So really loud with no discernible explanation. No gizzard.
Didn't he say that those explosions were coming from the air?
Yeah, he said it sounded like from the air. He has been regressed. His wife has not, but he has been regressed, and it will be in a future book. And the reason why he doesn't want to talk about it in interviews, which kind of makes sense, is that if people want to do the interview, they're not going to buy the book. So
Bigelow.
Going to be in a future book. The animals currently are not being harmed. Like he hasn't had any mutilations recently. So that's Robert Bigelow. Yep.
Yeah.
See, I was right. B.
Told you. Yeah. See, that's what. Well, I mean, anybody's life story could be put into a book, I suppose. So I really shouldn't be shitty about it, But I just find it ironic how it's made it, 20 some odd years, and I've never heard about it,
Right.
Because I generally know, if nothing else, I've at least heard of, the obscure things. I've at least heard of them, even if I don't know details, and I have never heard of anything. The only thing I've ever heard of in Arizona was the Arizona Lights,
The dude does live next to or by an Air Force base, but he says it's not the same sounds as when the crafts are going off.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just have to listen to it. It's a lot. Deuce Bigelow. No. There was something I wanted to talk about, and I got threw off track.
I'm sorry.
No, not by you, by the chat. In the one video, the Camelot one, Cassidy, whatever, Carrie Cat. There is a strange
anomaly,
apparition, for lack of a better word. People say it looks like a small gray from my small computer screen, and it could just be that my computer screen's too small because I was watching it on my laptop. It looks like a figure of some sort, but no discernible thing. It just looks like a small whitish thing that peeks out in the back, like behind him where there's a wall. It kind of peeks out for a second, and it is time stamped. So if you just want to watch that, you could do that. Also at 1 hour and 14 minutes, there is like this weird curtain-like thing that floats by. It looks like a ghost, like like pictures I've seen of ghosts.
Honestly, I think that other one, you know, the thing that pokes around the corner, to me, I didn't see an alien. I didn't see. If anything, it looked like kind of ghostly, you know. Or that's the way it looked in my mind, you know, the way I saw it, you know, because I didn't see what the people in the comments were saying. I didn't see that at all. You know, that's not where I would have went anyways with it. But you know, I guess the way, you know, everybody interprets things differently too, I suppose. And you know, with the video media, you know, it's not as accurate as seeing it with your own eyes, anyways. You know.
Well, I think they do live shows because I think her shows are live and then she just re-uploads them like what we're doing. So if it gives a little bit more credibility, I don't know. But it's creepy and interesting nonetheless. It is. That is there to look at. I'll put the link to that below as well. That's the first one I watch. Again, I don't recommend watching that one the first if you're going to. Just have a lot of time on your hands. I was making jewelry during the whole thing. With that one, you definitely, like I said, want to watch those particular things. But other than that, there's really no reason to have to watch it the whole way through because it's really not that important. But yeah, also something really, I don't know if there's anything weird to it, but did you notice in that interview his camera angle kept changing?
Mm-hmm.
I
did notice that.
Was wondering if there was a reason for that.
I don't know.
Because I noticed at one point, like the one area was more visible, and then another point it was like aimed slightly differently. It was just kind of strange.
Yeah, almost like it was like a stop cut, kind of.
Not like that. I'm not like implying anything. I'm just wondering why.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but that's what it looked like. The only way you could do it would be to do a stop cut. But like you said, it was filmed live.
Right.
So I don't know how that's possible or what could have caused it, you know. But I'm not an AV whiz either, so I don't know.
Also, strange things that he's seen is he's seen animals that aren't local to the area, such as a kangaroo that he supposedly raced. Also,
sorry.
Also, the bird calls them little dark ones. That's the other word that he has, that he says when sometimes he sees them or whatever.
They also saw, this is getting really out there. In their living room, they saw I don't know if it was a full platoon, but they saw a large group of, I guess they were like Athenian or Spartans. Okay, Romans. Okay, they were Romans. Walk through his living room and through this whatever it is, this
vortex,
Stargate, vortex, whatever. So apparently, you know, that they didn't notice people sitting on their couch. They're just, you know, walking by, you know, clanging their swords and shit, and they're just sitting there eating their popcorn and watching these guys walk by. You know, I don't know how that works, but
well, due to the vortex and the way that he was explaining it, it seemed like he I forget which interview it was, but he says the Stargates or vortex, whatever you want to call it, they are not only like they don't just pinpoint to locations, they pinpoint to time period. So that could explain that.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. It's still very fucked up and weird.
I understand that, but that's my thing is, you know, seeing it is one thing, but what about those people that were, you know, being transported? You know, would they not see John and his wife sitting in the living room when they're walking through? You see what I'm saying? Like, instead of us seeing them, which we know, but could they not see us? You know, they'd be like they're supposedly back in the day, they're walking through to battle, and then all of a sudden, poof, they're walking through some dude in Arizona's living room.
Well,
you know?
I don't think the beings were actually I don't think the people were actually transported. But if it's a time gate, it could just be like a window. You know what I'm saying? So you're seeing it, they're not physically there.
You're just seeing it.
Looking into it. Because like I've had similar experiences, not with Romans, where I see just people like they're just there. They don't notice you. They're just there.
Like
some
a window in time.
Yeah, some of them do, some of them don't. It's a weird thing. So I don't know. Take that with what you will. As far as like the classic abductee type, and this is another thing too, I just kind of thought of. He claims that both him and his wife have bleeding holes from syringe type wounds, also large bruises on their inner thigh, lower stomach, and upper shoulder. Those are markings of abductees, which he claims that he is not an abductee. So I think it's just he's delusional at this point. Because if his wife's an abductee, more than likely he has been at least at one point. So,
well, and just the laws of probability. I mean, they're going to nab him just for shits and giggles or by accident. You know, I mean, because you rarely. I mean, it does happen, but you rarely hear of, you know, a couple sleeping in a bed and only one person getting taken. It does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But most of the time, they're both taken, and if only one person's the subject, the other person will just not be diddled with.
Diddle. One diddle per night. Maybe they reach their diddle quota. Sometimes they can't take him. They also this is back when, I guess we'll have to go backwards. Talk a little bit about the encounter with the dog and the alien. I think it was Rottweilers that he had at the point. There was 3 of them, and the one ET being, or the gray, materialized in their back like sunroom or whatever. And the dogs went after and tried to attack it. And within, I forget if it just disappeared or whatever it did, but within like days of that happening, all the dogs just started deteriorating, like they're just withering away, like, and they died within a week. During when these beings appear, they're also associated with a high frequency buzz that sometimes shakes things around it, like the one in the sunroom or whatever. At one point, it misaligned the window frames to the point where they no longer closed properly.
And the copper taste. Yeah,
he believes this is because this happens when they're in between dimensions, which makes sense because, well, I say it makes sense, but it somewhat makes sense because people speculate that the difference between dimensions is frequency. So if it's like this high buzzing, which is also associated with abductions, is like a buzzing sensation, it kind of makes sense that it's associated with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that whatever this is, and not just this particular story, but you know, this whole genre, I guess, I think there is a dimensional part of it that we don't know about. So I think that does. I think that's got a little bit of credibility with it. But how credible? That's up to the listener, I suppose. But
they also have food missing. Every now and then, eggs will be missing, pizza, beer, as well as dishes left in the sink, which aren't by either one of them, at least to their knowledge. He claims that the bodily fluids that the beings expel are acidic and possibly toxic. Then there was the kid that committed suicide in the living room.
Yeah.
From the previous owner.
Yeah.
He did have an encounter with the men in black once. After all the major things happened, he was in the back doing something, working on the land, whatever, and I think it was like 2 people walked through the fence.
Yeah.
And warned him against basically speaking out, making all this public. They also looked, like the typical men in black, where their skin is very pale, kind of just like there's no pigmentation to it, like a dark blue type suit, just like the standard thing.
Textbook MIB.
Yeah, well, there was that. I think that's most of my notes. Unless you have something to add while I'm looking through here.
No, I think that's got me covered. They say that up to now, or when the last video was, that these occurrences happen up to 3 times a week.
Yeah, the strange Brillo man also seemed unaffected by external conditions. Like he had tried shooting at it, like I think Yeti mentioned, and it just didn't even react. It's indifferent to its surroundings or any kind of opposing threat. He described it as a Michelin man, but instead of like made out of marshmallow or whatever the fuck he's made out of, he's made out of like the wire Brillo like material, which to me almost to me it looks like static. Like if there was like a static being.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it reminds me of for some reason.
Yeah, because it's not. They're only just using that for a description. They're not saying that it is a wire being. They're just saying that that's what it appears. It has the, like the appearance of what a Brillo pad. Like if a Brillo pad was in the shape of a humanoid and was walking in your backyard, that's what it would look like. That's what they were just using a term that they could describe it.
Which is a being that I had never heard of.
Nor I.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. That's a doozy. Sounds like that being needs to be diddled.
Maybe he's a co-diller.
That's the one that holds you down while they diddle you.
Well, you got to get the exfoliation. So he just like touches you a few times and
it can be a little rough.
And they're all I don't know, because like because it was a live show, they did have question and answer from some of the people that were watching, and somebody asked, the typical questions of like anybody that has encounters with ET, like if they've heard of Planet X, this, that.
Right.
Someone asked if they would be revealing themselves soon, and he said yes, but he doesn't know when, and he's not going to be the one to, I guess, help coordinate that or something. I don't know, whatever. Oh, this is a thing that we missed. The human-like ET that, because like the way he described it, he said they looked human in every way except what they were basically able to perform.
Yeah.
Like I said, they lived here to prove, I guess, their abilities while they were in like one of the meetings. I don't remember if it was the first meeting or second meeting. Everyone was talking, amongst themselves. There was and at least one of the beings appeared to turn down the rest of the group to where only John and the being were able to talk to each other. No one else was aware of their conversation.
Yeah, apparently everybody around the table were still communicating and talking back and forth, not knowing that they were not making any sound, and only John and this other being were able to, communicate in an audible level. And then after their little conversation was over with, the dude turned them back up.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know many aliens that would probably still use like a knob turn dial, because that's how he described it.
They could at least use a touch. They could use a touch screen at least, just like.
Yeah, get with the times. Come on, aliens.
Another thing that we forgot is his wife has some weird illness. She wouldn't specify what, but it supposedly only affects people of color. And the alien, or not the aliens, but she's receiving healing to recover from that. It's a life-threatening illness, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So they're really big into, natural 0-point healing, however you want to put it.
Chakras and whatnot.
Which I don't completely disagree with. I think the human body has a lot of potential that we don't utilize.
Yeah.
How you get about it, do you need a healer to do it? I don't think so. It's easier. But I think everyone has the ability to heal themselves to most extents, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing.
Also, the benevolent ET claimed that the Greys were ordered off the planet years ago, and the ones that are still here are the rebels, which I've heard before, so I'm not going to make fun of that too.
Yeah.
Supposedly, and I don't want to get too much into this, but there was some kind of contract between the Grey ETs and, you know, people here. I'm not going to specify who. Basically, it's like trading us for technology, so they were able to do certain things to us. I don't know if full-fledged abductions were discussed. That's what ended up happening. And then within, I don't know how many years ago, that treaty was kind of squashed because they were kind of like going against what was originally discussed with the abductions and all that. So that's, the abductions are not supposed to be still happening. But I don't know. With me, the whole abduction thing is a sketchy topic. Like, I don't know that I completely buy it, but that's a different topic.
Yeah. That's a whole different can of worms.
He's had no communications with the Greys outside of, you know, just killing them. They've never attempted. Huh?
Other than whacking their heads off.
Right. They've made no effort to communicate with him, and he really hasn't with them. The wife supposedly kind of tried to, but it was ineffective. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it.
That's all I got.
One of the places I guess I should clarify, because I guess, and I've gone through so much data and everything, it's kind of like some things bleed into. Like I said, John's not the best at explaining things, or maybe it's just the interview process that kind of mixes things up. But at one point, he had proof that was taken.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the brother's proof. I guess the brother had proof that was taken. It was at the University of Oklahoma, where it was supposed to be tested, but it was taken before I guess they could do anything. Now, I guess since we've gone through over all this stuff, here are the problems I have with it, the ones that I haven't specified. Number one, and somebody asked this too, and I guess it's an important thing to address, why haven't the aliens killed him? He's killed 18 of them that he claims, the Greys. Why haven't they killed him? He claims maybe they can't. I think that's bullshit. Also, the fact that he doesn't think he's an abductee, even though he shows classic symptoms of it, is kind of strange. Yeah. He does appear mostly to be rational. Some of the things he says is not rational, but he doesn't sound like a complete idiot. You know, the way he words things sometimes, like, you know, the parrot squawking and it's time to get the sword. I mean,
yeah,
like a parody, like literally parody. Get it? Get it?
Yeah, I got it. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, it's things like that I think I would have left out, you know.
And then, you know, like why he hasn't sold it. I think that he really could have sold it at this point. Well, I guess, like I said, the one he was offered, it wouldn't have covered the mortgage. So it just wasn't feasible. And I mean, the real estate market is fucked up right now, so it's kind of understandable.
Well, I honestly think he thinks he's going to make some money off of it. I mean, I know that's kind of shitty to say because I don't know his motives or anything, but I'm sure he probably thought, "Fuck, I've got a gold mine here," you know. But that's just me, and you know, I'm kind of skeptical about everything. So
yeah, well, you kind of agree with this stuff.
Yeah, that's. But well, I mean, also he even said that he's planning on making it a healing center. He's already planning on turning a buck on the whole deal. So, you know, right there, that kind of lets you know a little bit about his way of thinking.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like, There was something else that just like went away. Oh, the aliens. These people that claim to be aliens from, Palladian and whatever. I always have problems saying that name. And like the Syrian constellation and all this other crap. They look completely human. And he just took them at their word at first.
Yeah. Yeah, they looked human, and they came in a vehicle and they walked through the door. They didn't get beamed down or teleported in or anything like that. They didn't pull up in a UFO.
All by this Dr. P person.
Yeah, who seems like a fraud too.
Yeah, she's a healer. And I don't know, the whole interaction with all these different healers is kind of odd. Like he named at least 3 or 4 different ones.
Yeah. If it works, great, but I think he's going to have to do something with his alien issue before anybody's going to want to come and stay there and get healed.
Yeah.
Your people renting your rooms aren't going to be real happy seeing you running around the middle of the night naked with a sword swinging around trying to chop up a little gray-headed midget, I mean.
Yeah.
They'll be like, get the bags, we're gone.
I don't know. There was another question I had that was oh, and people asked why he doesn't put cameras up, and he says that basically they just can't afford to because all the money that they have goes to taking care of the animals.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, living on a place that large, it's got to be expensive. He's not working anymore, as far as I understood. Only his wife. And she just works in mental health, not even as a counselor. So whatever she's doing, I imagine it doesn't make that much money. So it kind of makes sense, but I don't know. He said if anyone wants to donate, cameras and all, them up.
What's the name of the place? Is it Rainbow Valley, where his ranch is at? Is that
Stardust?
Yeah, the Stardust Ranch.
I don't know what you're referring to.
The valley that it's in is what I'm trying to think of. I know it's 35 miles southwest of Phoenix. I think it's called Rainbow Valley, if I'm not mistaken. But the name of the place is the Stardust Ranch.
No, Sean. There was another.
No, that's in Nevada.
I don't know. Like I said, there's certain things that are just obviously very out there. But I do find if there is evidence that was taken, this blood analysis, it's compelling to say the least. And the pictures, like I said, I don't remember if I addressed it over there. Someone asked again if they showed the pictures of the gray. Yes, you're able to see them. I'll put the link below. It's creepy as shit.
Yeah.
It really is. It's fucking scary.
Yes, fresh.
So maybe not look at it tonight if you want to go to bed anytime soon. I know they creep the hell out of me.
It is. Yeah, it's creepy.
I hate when you think of something and it just goes away. I don't know. It's just it is what it is. It's something you have to make up your. I know there's a lot of trolls out there making fun of the situation, but the paranormal is full of a lot of weird shit. Some of which I've experienced firsthand, and I haven't chopped any like gray alien heads off or anything like that. But I don't know. For his being as advanced as they are to be able to go in and out of dimensions and abduct his wife and have all these craft, my mentality is if they wanted him dead, he would have been dead a long time ago.
Exactly.
He might be slightly immune to their whatever technology they use. But apparently, to me, it's obvious that he's not completely, because he has all these, bruises and puncture holes on him and stuff like that, and the missing time. That
Yeah.
that is abduction symptoms.
Yeah.
Those are like
101. Yeah.
So,
well, and sorry.
No, that's it.
No, well, no, I was just gonna say, I think that you're kind of right there. That kind of pretty much shoots a hole in his whole theory, because with everything that he's got, his bruises, his textbook bruises, punctures, missing time, all of that is textbook, And then he's sitting there saying that, he's got some sort of magic that they can't do what they need to do to him. I don't believe it, because I think if they're doing it to him.
His brain is different. According to him, the anatomy of his brain is different because of the injury he incurred, which is possible, and it would possibly alter their control of the person. And the abduction thing, again, can be a whole other video. But essentially what happens is people that are abducted or about to be abducted, if they even remember it right away, a lot of people don't, is they go through like a state of almost like a sleep paralysis type situation where you can't move and you're aware of your surroundings, but you can't move at all. So it makes sense that they would possibly be able to cause that to happen as opposed to having it happen naturally, because sleep paralysis is it's just a regular type of thing. It's nothing paranormal, even though some people think there is ties to it. I don't know.
It's scary as shit. I've had it happen to me.
It is definitely scary, but in my situation, because it's only happened the once, I was completely aware I was dreaming. It was fucked up, and it creeped the shit out of me, but I knew I wasn't awake. It's a different type of mental state. But it kind of makes sense that they would be able to cause that to happen. And if there's something wrong with this guy's brain where it's a little bit different, it kind of makes sense that they might not be able to do it as easily. But they've never abducted him, which he said he doesn't think he's ever been. And he has gone through regression. Number one, why is he being regressed if he's never been abducted?
Good point.
And just like all the things that have happened to him, how could he not think he's been abducted at least once?
That's my point, yeah.
He's seen his wife in the process of being abducted.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. It's just... And honestly, if he's going through everything that he's gone through, it's understandable that he might not be thinking as rationally as somebody from an outside perspective. And maybe it is denial. I've been in denial about some of the things that I've seen. I'm still not completely 100% sure of what I saw in the living room that day when I saw the thing walking across the thing. It was like it's a different thing. It's hard to explain. I've done a video about it, so I'm not going to go into detail about it.
Yeah.
But, you do question things. And like when I saw the apparition of the lady floating above me and just a lot of things that it's like, I can't believe that happened to me, but because it happened to me, I know it did. It's just hard to grasp, even when it happens to you. So I do sympathize, and I guess it's why I'm a little bit more sympathetic to people that have this happen, because when you experience even any of this stuff yourself, you do have a different perspective than someone that's never seen anything. But do I completely buy 100% everything everybody says about it? No, definitely not.
Yep.
And like I said, I don't know. Some of the things that he said is just looking out there, but there are pictures as well. There's pictures of the strange anomalies in the sky, supposedly craft, other kind of weird, just strange lights, strange designs in the sky. So there's like a lot of photos that you can check out, including the two of the gray. There are two of I don't know if it's the same gray.
Yeah, I don't know.
But one's from like a really close, like it's like right fucking there. It was probably if it's a legit picture, it's the clearest picture I've seen of a gray.
And then there's a profile view
it's
too.
like turning to the side, so you can see like features of it, which is also pretty unique because I don't know that I've seen like a side profile of one before.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I've seen, renderings, but not, a picture. You know.
Okay, Matt, make fun of me. That's great. Just in case anybody is, because like the thing is, I don't like repeating myself, and I don't.
Yeah.
And it's not just I don't like repeating myself. I feel like for people that already have heard the story, they probably don't want to hear it again and again. I can go in a whole new live show of all the shit that's happened to me. If you're wondering the things that have happened to me, I have a playlist on a separate channel that used to be a makeup channel, but all of my experiences I talk about on that channel. So if you're interested in that, basically I saw what I thought was a ghost at the time because I wasn't really into aliens and all that UFO stuff back then because I was really young. I was like, I want to say 13, maybe younger. I was in the living room and trying to sleep, and a small figure with a larger head walked in front of the window on my, it was like an enclosed porch, and I had the porch light on, so it really just saw like a shadow of some kind of solid thing walking past the window. My windows are the curtains were closed because I can't sleep with when my windows open, like where you can see out of them. I have like a weird phobia about that.
Yeah.
So my curtains were closed to where you can't really see out of it too much, but I saw this being walk past the front of it. And again, like I said, I thought it was a ghost because I had experienced ghost behavior while I was living at that particular place. But after doing research, like way down years later, it might have been something else. I don't remember what happened after that. It's just kind of blank, which I thought was odd. Because if it were a dream, typically I almost always know that it's a dream, at least once I'm awake, especially because I lucid dream pretty much all the time.
Wow.
I usually know, and I used to be able to control them. I've kind of lost that. I think probably just because my sleep is so fucked up now. But back then I was really good, at like controlling my dream, whatever. But anyway, I'd remember waking up and just like the whole thing. It's just kind of blank to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I try not to think about it. It's kind of like one of the denial things. It's the only experience I've had that was like that. I've never woken up with like marks on me. Even after that happened, I didn't have any marks on me that I was able to see or feel or anything like that. It was that one time, and then some other stuff has happened that might be not associated, but
Questionable.
yeah, but like related, I guess, to that kind of thing. But again, if you want to watch all of them, it's on a separate playlist. They're not really that long, so check that out. I'll put the link below. But I don't want to get into too much detail about it because a lot of people have heard the story before. So, but that's what I meant. The thing walking across the thing. So there you go, Matt.
I knew what you was. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. That's about it. I don't know that I have anything else to add. There was that one question I had, but I don't remember what it is now. I was questioning something that happened. I mean, I questioned a lot of what happened, but
Yeah.
I had a specific query that just didn't make sense to me, but I can't remember it now. Oh, I guess one thing that briefly I can ask is if one of the bodies of evidence they had was taken, why wasn't the other one? Why would they just leave this guy with gray bodies that they were able to test? Because the one he had to keep in his freezer for a while. It was like a month or two. So why would they have left it all that time to where he can go and have it tested? It's kind of just strange.
Yeah. See, that's one of those like loose ends in his story. It's kind of like I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm like really down on the dude because I don't mean to come across that way because his story is very intriguing. It's just that some aspects of his story are like loose ends, that he just kind of, I don't know if he didn't have all the information and shouldn't have even shared that part of the story, or if he dreamt that part of the story, but some of it just doesn't add up, and maybe it's stuff that should have just been saved for the book. I don't know, but like you were saying, he doesn't come across too well, verbally, I guess, he doesn't, he words things kind of weird, and he has a tendency of loop, because I got lost a couple of times listening to him.
Yeah, especially in the Camelot one. The Camelot one is pretty hard to follow.
Yes.
I think the Fade to Black one was done very well. It was very cohesive and coherent. So yeah, I would watch that if nothing else.
Yeah,
because check out the pictures. Definitely check out the pictures.
Yeah, because if you like if I didn't know the story before I watched the Camelot, I would have been lost. Luckily I had watched the Jimmy Church and another one before I had watched the one with Carrie Cassidy, because she will get you lost on the whole story.
Wrath of Khan says that is where the saying "a cool head" came from. As far as what the alien smell, well, I don't know about what the alien tastes like, but he says what the alien smells like is spoiled meat. Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah, everything tastes like chicken, you know
that. He wanted to keep the alien preserved as best as he could, because you got to remember he lives in the desert, in Arizona, and it gets pretty fucking hot. So, and also he has dogs. Probably didn't want them chewing on it. I don't know. And he has several freezers, so he just figured that would be the best place for it until he can get somebody to test it. So,
yeah. That's perfect alien body storage device. Plus, you can marinate all your food in alien funk.
Well, he said the alien fluid, their blood, however you want to put it, is toxic. So, the alien body is, we talked about it in the beginning. It's the thing that is held. It's stored on U.S. What do you say? Within the country, but not on U.S. soil.
Yeah, it's within within the continental United States, but it is not United States land. That was his words. So yeah,
he doesn't want to disclose exactly where, because stuff happens to disappear, which is understandable. But take with it what you will. I just think that if aliens are as advanced as they are, and maybe just it's one of those things that they did on purpose to kind of have people pose the question, why would they leave just stuff laying around if it was real? Maybe this thing has just become so much of a joke that they don't even care about covering it up anymore, because they're like, oh, people are just going to think it's bullshit anyway, so what's the point? I don't know.
Yeah, disinformation.
Right. So, whatever. There's another thing I thought about, and then I lost it again. It is similar to a different story that I've heard. I'm sure you've heard of the one as well. I don't remember the exact. It's like something forest. It's where all those military people were in the forest, and they all made an account of the craft.
Rendlesham?
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Yeah.
I think it's the same story. I might be mixing it up, but there was a guy that actually he didn't decapitate the alien or anything, and it wasn't a gray. It was similar to the gray in appearance, except it was brown, and the skin was different. He held the body in his freezer, but it actually didn't die. It kind of just put it into like a comatized almost state, because he did injure it. I think he hit it in the head or something.
He beat the shit out of it with a stick. Yeah, because it melted his dog. Yeah.
Well, it turned out.
Yeah, that wasn't Rendlesham. Rendlesham was on an Air Force base in the United Kingdom. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. He beat the living shit out of that thing and wrapped it up in one of those foil blankets.
Yeah.
And took it home, and there's video of that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Of that little thing blinking and shit.
Right.
The next day, that little critter was mysteriously taken from his house. He said he pulled up just as the guys were pulling away with the body in the back of the van, because it was a van. But yeah, I know exactly that story. I can't remember that guy's name.
Yeah, I don't either. But he ended up, I don't know if it was the same exact creature, but something of the same race or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up having further interactions with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting story that we could do possibly at some point.
Yeah, that's a good one. I believe a lot of that story.
Yeah, he doesn't come off as nuts as the other guy.
He's a little bit more sane.
Yeah,
he's even got pictures of the crack too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not like, you know, twirling his sandals. But, you know, whatever. I think that's about it. We've been on for a while now. Like I said, I'll put everything below, the links to the videos that I've watched. Again, you don't have to actually watch a lot of them. The Fade to Black one is completely audio, so there's nothing to watch. So maybe do it while you're like building coils or whatever you're doing, if it's of interest to you. But the pictures I definitely would check out. You know, it doesn't take that long to look at pictures, and they're pretty interesting. So,
yeah, I second that.
And then I got to figure out what the fuck's wrong with this computer over here. I'm telling you, it never ends, man.
Yeah,
but whatever.
A struggle, isn't it?
Struggle is real.
Damn
the
right.
thing is, I was streaming. I think early this morning, I was playing a video game, and I was streaming on it just fine. There was no issues whatsoever. But
I'm telling you, it might have something to do with me, because you can ask Fresh. Anytime I'm involved, shit just starts going weird.
yeah, I don't know. It's like my browser. Every time I click anything on the browser, it just freezes.
Well, since you've been on the laptop, you haven't been froze once.
This laptop doesn't do it.
Yeah, so
it's just the desktop. So that's why I said fuck it. After all, you know, getting my video cut off like 3 times, my laptop's right here. It's not, you know, it works. It's more dependable at this point. So
right.
I have it propped up on my jewelry cases, like where I keep all my beads. With my tripod or whatever the hell you call it. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna get off here. Hopefully you guys at least found this. I guess a lot of you just thought it was, you know, funny, but you know, whatever. It is kind of funny. I have to admit, I laughed a few times. I
did a lot of this. What the hell?
Well, I have plenty of swords. I don't know if they're sharp enough to chop off a head, but at least that's
swing it hard enough.
I guess. But whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. I don't know what the next episode will be. It's kind of just like a random thing. I don't know. It'll be what it is. Bye, guys.
Bye.